Hi. I guess I hit the go live button. I don't know why I'm so surprised. Excuse me. Hello. So, my number one fan told me that I should get on here and say that, sometimes I should have a little more patience with my number one fan. And now at least she won't be able to say that I never listen. I'm just playing. So we have a new moon. Oh, we have a new moon. This is the burdened one and the seeker is interesting to me. New moon in Pisces. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna pull 2 cards for Pisces season thus far. A card for what this new moon Pisces is like. Highlighting. And then we'll go from there. I don't know. I'm not sure. Excuse me. SMH. I got on here because you told me to. ... LOL. So that's what we're gonna do. The burden one and the seeker is interesting because it's almost like a burden of knowledge. It's almost like, when the initiate. When you go looking for something, excuse me. When the truth of something is like, or it's like when you find out something that you wish you had rather not known. Like, I was perfectly fine not knowing this. She gonna say whatever. See, when I listen to her, this is what happens. That's why I don't listen. I'm kidding. All right, let's do this. 2 cards for the Dark Horse. Okay, that's more than 2. Mars in Leo is the first one. The second one is 2 cards. The Herald of the Waters and the Herald of the Earth. 2 pages. We have Inspired the Prodigy and Dedication of the Adept, which is interesting because I'm looking at these cards. I'm pretty sure Gale was the Waterdeep Prodigy. And then we had, was it the Adept of Bahamut? Let's see, shall we? Excuse me. We got Gale the Waterdeep Prodigy, Inspire the Prodigy, and then no, that was the Acolyte of Bahamut. Oh, sprinkle. It was an orange sprinkle from the donut that I was just eating. Interesting. Now, the pages come with the initiate, of course, additional cards, and the dynasty. Interesting. So the initiate came out under the Herald of the Earth, Dedication of the Adept. And then the Dynasty, 10 of Pentacles, came out with the Herald of the Waters, Inspire the Prodigy. Now, this initiate is the spirit in search of experience. And then it's the dedication of the Adept. This is giving some real Eight of Pentacles energy, which is interesting because that Eight of Pentacles was the sun in Virgo that I kept seeing around. Excuse me. That I kept seeing around the full moon Virgo. You see how big these are? This is iced coffee. It tastes good. This feels like, so the Page of Pentacles, the Herald of the Earth, feels like a new beginning. But with this Herald of the Waters, like this is almost, it's like this person, this Herald is talking with the fish about things that they would like to experience or something. And so there's this like very promising, very abundant, very lucrative almost. I don't like the word lucrative, almost feels dirty sometimes. Just because it's like not scammy or shady, but I feel like it's like I have a very lucrative business proposition for you. You know what I mean? And then with this Page of Pentacles, it's like the beginnings of that in real life, but with it coming out as the initiate. Excuse me. The spirit in search of experience. I almost wonder if it won't be a little roundabout. Or I almost wonder if the path won't necessarily be extremely direct. Hey, Eve, how are you doing today? It's nice talking to you for the first time today. JK, LOL. I wonder if it'll almost require experience, though. But with this tree of life, it's like, because this is because experience is clarifying the Page of Pentacles. It's like it'll be these interconnected experiences because you can see how they're connected. Now, on the other side, we have the Dark Horse, which is the Seven of Wands, which is interesting because the 6 and the 5 have been focal recently. This is almost like if this were all the same thing. You fly out tomorrow? Whoa, I hope you have a nice flight. Excuse me, I'm so yawny. I hope you have a nice flight and a nice work week away. I'm sure it'll be, well, I guess, I don't know how cool it is where you are. I should try to take a trip. High key. There's some, I think that's in Texas. I think. A bunch of meetings and stuff. Ew. Hopefully you get to enjoy. Excuse me. Hopefully you get to enjoy Cali outside of work. Maybe that's the thing too. It's always like, well, what do you do? What do you do? Where do you go? What? Going to Michigan in April? Michigan was gorgeous. I went around I think, yeah, because you sent me, you helped me get dinner that day from No Lisa's, I think. It was a Cabernet and the pasta. When I went around the Upper Peninsula with my buddy, that was the day I was like, My traveling patience had worn thin, and I was like, I'm going back to the hotel. That was the best thing I did that whole. I'm just kidding. It was gorgeous, though. It was beautiful. I mean, if you're going for work, then I don't know how much you'll get to see, but excuse me. The Seven of Wands is coming off of the achievement of the Six of Wands with the backing of whoever this is in the clouds. Oh, this is almost like and it's the dark horse, which is perfect because it's almost like there's some kind of position or something that's open or available. And maybe it's one that's highly contended, but because of some efforts that you put in or something that you do by virtue of who you are, there's like a leg up over the competition that you have. Now, this leg up over the competition, I feel like there's even more of a dark horse energy because of the spirit in search of experience, because it's the initiate. It's almost like you may consider yourself to be the least qualified, or your credentials are the least noteworthy, but there's something about you that like makes you the ideal candidate. There are certain things that paper can't account for. Hopefully you get to wait. Do you know if you'll be I'll text you. I'll text you. Do you know if you'll be by a Cherry Republic? The cherry ice wine at Cherry Republic was amazing. I think to this day, it's like if you don't like sweet wines, then you might not like it. But to this day, I think it's like the best wine I've had. It's one of my favorite drinks, just like not like any drinks. It was so good. But they only ship it to Michigan and Ohio. And I haven't been back to Michigan, so. But this is all stuff that Pisces season has like brought this far. So thus far, Pisces season has brought us opportunities to like be our amazing. I think so. I think so. I think so. I think there's like four of them, three or four of them, and they have cherry everything. They have like cherry salsa, cherry everything. I didn't know that cherries was one of Michigan's biggest like exports until I went and saw Cherry Republic. And it's also interesting. So with these cards already coming out, it's like whatever this thing is, it's already begun before New Moon Pisces. So like you're already being this stellar, awesome rock star, dark horse. Like nobody expected it from you, but like you're totally amazing. With whoever is backing you. It's like good things. And maybe it's like if there is a conversation about you in whatever way there would be a conversation about you. Maybe it's like, that person would be an ideal candidate for whatever, or it's like one of those things where it's like the only thing that you're lacking is experience. So then maybe it's like, well, how do we get them experience? And again, there's something about the almost roundabout nature of experiences, or the roundabout nature of living. How these things are connected in ways that if I hold it all the way back here, it's not necessarily as easy to see because the things that stand out the most are like the pentacles. But as I bring it closer, you can see the things that connect them. Seemingly disparate, disjointed, disconnected happenings and circumstances of living that come together to form some kind of picture. And then here we go. There's a little ringing in my left ear, just a little bit. There's like a little bit of static. But I highly recommend the cherry ice wine if you have an opportunity. Now, is this the card I'm taking? Ooh. So the star came out and the Reaper's at the bottom of the deck. Passage to initiation. Gifts of the Spirit. Maybe that's what we're looking for. Gifts of the Spirit and passage to initiation. Okay. I'm going to pull more because I feel like I wasn't ready, but I'm going to keep these on the table. This is a fixed square. Scorpio and Aquarius. And then we have Mars and Leo. And then we have Virgo. Excuse me. Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. With Mars getting an honorable mention. Wasn't this the same? Wasn't it a T-square, a fixed T-square that came out before? Maybe. I don't remember which planet was it, or which side was it there. Excuse me. Passage to initiation, and we have the initiate again that came out. There's almost like just for trying. I don't know. There's an interesting energy here. It feels like this passage to initiation is obviously linked with the gifts of the Spirit, but I don't know if it's reading like, I don't know if it's reading like borrowing something. Almost like borrowing a gift before you develop it. So, like, let's say that you have a really on day. You know how some people can be bad test takers? Like, it's almost like a good test taker energy for things that you may not have even necessarily known that you were like preparing for. But you like get all the, and it's more than like guessing. It's like your intuition is on point, I guess, would be an easy way to put it. Like your intuition would be on point. And it's one of those things where it's like, you know, but you don't know how or why you know, but then maybe eventually down the line, you get to understand how or why you knew. Or like some of the how starts to build in. But the gift of the Spirit is the knowing. It's a gift of knowing before you know. If that makes sense. All right, new moon Pisces. New moon Pisces, that's happening probably now-ish. Oof. Bottom of the deck is the Rogue, the Seven of Swords, which is the moon in Aquarius. Moon in Aquarius is the new moon we just had a new moon in Aquarius, which was the start of the Chinese Lunar New Year, which is we're now in the year of the dragon. Also, moon was in Aquarius, like yesterday and the day before. Moon in Aquarius is right before the moon is in Pisces. So this is like an energy, again, that's leading up to the moon, new moon in Pisces, but not quite there. Now, the card that came out is our Archangel Commander. Angel of Storms and Battles. Excuse me. Have I mentioned that I love this before? Because, like, there's Michael's sword, the sword that Michael always carries that's hidden under his cloak, right? Because the story of the Archangel Commander is that the Archangel Commander sees you do something instead of relying on the divine to do it for you. And then after you do it, there's something about who you are, your strengths, talents, gifts, skills, or abilities, or something that you're capable of now that you wouldn't have allowed yourself the opportunity to witness that you were capable of. And like there's the sword that he presents, and then there's like the hidden sword, right? That's your sword, that's Michael's sword, or something. If you know the story, you know the story. Bottom of the deck is the rogue, which is the seven of swords. But there's somebody looking. Could it be the IRS? It is tax time in America. Now, we just saw the Seven of Swords, and we saw the Seven of Swords recently, and it was with the Seven of Cups. There was a person laying in ambush. Was that when I used the mythical creatures? I think that was when I used the mythical creatures. Maybe not. I remember there was some that's when I looked up perception. So whichever video was titled like intuition and perception, knowledge plus experience, and then here's experience equals wisdom, squiggly line. No, equals wisdom, squiggly line perception. Is that how I did it? I forget. I think that was it. Or intuition. Did I put intuition in it? It was that reading, okay? Because I remember in the book, it was like with perception, you could notice orcs laying in ambush or thugs waiting in alleys. But it was like, oh, devil energy. It was like, oh, well, if we have a thug in ambush, they won't expect it because they're expecting the thugs in the alley or the orcs in ambush. We're going to throw a wrench in the works, and it's like, okay. But that Seven of Swords was a path not taken. Like someone or something laid in ambush on a path not taken. That was the Queen of Air. The Queen of Air was giving me that smirk. So I was using the good tarot. It was the good tarot whenever I used the good tarot. Because I remember she kept looking at me and smirking at me. And there was something there about applying knowledge that had already been gained because that Queen of Air was with the owl instead of the Queen of Air being with the butterflies. So this is our moon in Aquarius. All right. So we're getting closer. Can we get a new moon in Pisces? A new moon in Pisces. But I think that was the thing too. It was like, because in the story, Archangel Michael is like, let me spar with me. Let me train you in the ways of using a holy sword. Oh, we just saw in the fairy tarot, he of the flaming sword. And it was like big yang energy. And then we do have like this, it feels like this like protective energy in the back where she may not necessarily expect it and where they may think they're about to get away with something. I almost wonder if like the work that you've done, but I think that was the vibe. Like the work that you've done provides its own protection to certain things. At the very least, it's like, for example, there are certain things that you wouldn't be naive enough to fall prey to or be susceptible to. Or it's like now you have enough self love, self worth, self value that you won't stay long in places. Okay. Excuse me, that you won't stay long in places where you're not appreciated. You know what I mean? Or where you're not valued. Like you'll exit. So it's like the work or the nature of the work itself provides its own protection. It's like if you had a cut and for whatever reason the cut didn't heal and you kept getting infections because it was an open wound. Well, it's like, well, the cut has healed. The wound is no longer open, so you're not going to be as prone to infection as you may have been at some point. New Moon Pisces, please. There we go. We have the Shining Quarry. Quarry? The Quarry? Which is the Knight of Pentacles. Caverns of the Gnome. When I just came from the gym. Well, not just came. I went to the gym earlier. And I think The Hobbit, Desolation of Smaug was on, and they were like, they're dwarves, they're not gnomes, but they're like in the city with all that gold and Smaug's down there. There we go. New Moon Pisces, the Shining Quarry, Caverns of the Gnome. I guess New Moon Pisces, it's almost this energy that's just like, you're doing a great job. You're being noticed. Your hard work is being noticed. The work that you've invested is paying dividends. I think that was one. I think I titled a video like "The Work Pays Its Own Dividends" or something like that. And it's just like keep going, like slow and steady. Almost like if there are any for anything new that the new moon in Pisces would have brought, like you've already gotten a pretty solid head start. Bottom of the deck is the Hunt. Excuse me. We've seen the Hunt recently. The Hunt came out. It was, I think, one of Mars's final gifts. Or was that something about Aquarius? It was Aquarius. I'm pretty sure that's from when I read the Sun transiting into Pisces. And one of the last things that Sun and Aquarius had to remind us of was this Hunt. And I talked about how, like, in this card versus the other one, we have the person on the other side holding the wand. Now, what's interesting is the Nine of Wands was at the bottom of the deck behind the Reaper, I'm pretty sure. And the Nine of Wands is the pugilist, and we see her or someone that looks like her at the crossroads of the pugilist. The Hunt, the Memory Keeper, and the Keeper. These two together, because we have the Keeper, the Magus, and the Demon. So these two together almost speak to a lingering unpleasantness. Now, with the Sun in Scorpio, maybe it's being highlighted and illuminated. I feel like, though, in the context of this, it almost feels like if anything painful, unpleasant, or potentially traumatic surfaces, it's almost to be mindful of how it can affect us so that we can consciously choose to not allow it to be a blockage. It feels like it's in a way to assist us in not self-sabotaging in some way. Because that's the illumination of Scorpio in this Memory Keeper. Things that we're still haunted by, maybe in ways that we don't even see. And again, the illumination here. Because after that is the Keeper, the Magus, and the Demon. Or the Keeper. The Keeper is the fool that interacts with the world on a whole other level. This is the fool that we go from the initiate, and we saw the Keeper or the Seeker first, because it was the Seeker and the burdened one. Excuse me. Was that not a thing? That kind of was one of the things I was able to pull from whatever happened. I think that was yesterday, where it was the harsh truth. Like there's something that like you wouldn't say to a child because a child doesn't yet have the capacity to process the weight of whatever. So, you say, we'll wait until the child gets older and then we'll tell them. And there was something towards the end, I believe, where it was like maybe your capacity has increased in a way that like you wouldn't necessarily know, or you wouldn't allow yourself to know. And so like you're told something or you find out something because you're ready for the truth. Or you've been asking for the truth, either or. Um, but the keeper is the one that's able to like manifest on a different level or something like that. It's spirit and petition of spirit. And so it's like the keeper is in touch and in tune with the piece of the divine that they're created in. And so, from the keeper being in touch with their spirit, they speak to the spirit of the world around them or whatever. Now, the reason why this is being illuminated is because maybe the keeper is unconsciously or not um, purposefully, unintentionally. Maybe the keeper is unintentionally creating circumstances that aren't necessarily beneficial to their progress. It feels like maybe it's beneficial to like staying comfortable or enforcing the comfort zone, but as far as like growing into whatever the keeper is growing into, it may be a little detrimental. And it feels like that's why this devil energy is behind the magician, because it can influence what it is that this magician or what it is that the keeper creates. Now, the keeper, again, it's the fool that's gone through the entirety of the major arcana and had learned its lesson every point along the way. So, this could, again, just be something that the keeper learned from the magician and something that the keeper learned in overcoming devil energy, which, again, could be not allowing whatever self sabotaging behavior to keep them from manifesting or accepting whatever opportunities they've been working to create in their own life. So yeah, the new moon is real new moony. And maybe it's also like to speak to the depths of Pisces and for that to be where a new energy would be. Like if we're not aware of things, that can be the undoing of Pisces. Like house 12, house Pisces is the house of undoing. And it's also the house of like prisons and asylums and stuff like that. And if we're not aware of those things, it's almost like putting limitations. So it's us having limitations built into the things that we manifest. But in my mind, I don't know anything about cars. But in my mind, it's like we're building a car, we're ordering the parts, and we have the mechanical know how to assemble it. But for some reason, we're putting limiters on like the fuel tank or on the engine in order to like max the car out at a certain top speed. So like the car can't go above 45 miles per hour because of these inbuilt limitations that we may not even necessarily consciously know that we're doing. And so most of the time, again, that's like enforcing the comfort zone. Like we're not driving above 45. Let's say that like you do a lot of residential driving and you follow the speed limit. So you never go above like 35 if you're pushing it. But one day you take a car on the highway and you built the car, you ordered the parts, you know what it's capable of, and you want to go at least 65, 70, 80, but you can't break 45. And it's because of those unintentional limiters that you built into the car while you were building it or while you were assembling all the parts. Either the fuel tank can only deliver so much fuel, which means that only a certain amount can be burned to provide the whatever for acceleration, or you put a limiter on the engine that it can't engine more than a certain number of work joules energy. But like, again, it's like it's things that can be so deep that we may not even realize where we're limiting ourselves, because it's Pisces and Pisces has that kind of depth. But again, the gift of this memory keeper, the sun in Scorpio, is that these things may be coming to the forefront. Now, for someone who isn't so accomplished, because we see here and here, for someone who isn't as accomplished as you are, when these things come to the forefront, they can themselves cause some kind of spiraling in a not great way that would lead to missing out on this opportunity. But because you've journeyed the way you've journeyed, maybe this is one of the ways in which the work that you've done protects you. It helps you see that it's for you to be mindful of as you continue forward. Because it is for you, like you're meant to keep moving forward. I was watching an anime earlier today, and one of the characters was like, "Oh, we're matched in speed and ability, but I have more battle experience, so I'm going to win this fight." He assumed he had more battle experience because dude hadn't gone through some things. um, but it's funny because I was watching another show where they had to fight their own like mimics, like their talents, personality, abilities were mimicked, like perfect copies were created and they had to fight themselves. No, there were enough people that were like, "Oh, I'll fight your copy and you fight my copy." um but it's almost that same, I literally just forgot what I was already talking about, experience. Feels like it's similar in energy for some reason. Whatever you've accomplished has prepared you for this. And it doesn't have to stop you and it doesn't have to slow you down. It feels informative. Cool. That's New Moon in Pisces, apparently. It looks like some beautiful things are coming along. And again, it's one of those, keep following your intuition, even if you don't know where paths connect or how a certain experience is going to lead you to wherever you're going. There could be an energy of something that feels like a detour, but ultimately, at the end of the day, it may not be. Or even if it is, maybe you're detouring because something is happening at the destination. Maybe construction isn't complete, a position isn't available yet. The experience that, again, because it was the dark horse nature of this, and it was the initiate clarification of the herald of the water, where it's like Like maybe on paper you don't look the best, or maybe there are some critical experiences that are essential to performing the functions of a certain role that you're lacking, or maybe there's something else. The detour would have you acquire whatever it is. And in that way, it wouldn't really be a detour. You know what I mean? So cool. Love it. Final message time. This ain't gotta be 10 hours long. Excuse me. Yeah. I mean, Pisces season is coming out. You're amazing. You're a star. You look like a Linda Evangelista. Did you stone those tights? You could walk out wearing a diaper, and the judges would eat you up every single time because you are that girl or that guy or that person. You just, maybe you're just missing a little this or a little that. But it's nothing that can't be made up for, or it's nothing that you want to acquire along the way. If you, again, get that opportunity regardless. Because there's something about you that screams ideal candidate. And with the Seven of Wands, I don't know if it'd be like an element of virtue or an element of like, let's say that it's noticed that you handle stress really well. And handling stress isn't necessarily something that you can put on paper. Now, you can, on a resume, for example, you can put that you've held this position or that position. And in an interview, like, you can say that you handle stress well. But it's different when you see someone in those positions. And if you know that a certain role would be high stress, and the candidate that looks better on paper, like, doesn't handle stress as well, or there's something about stress that almost like warps that candidate into a less ideal candidate, they may get passed out, and you may have that, like, anything technical you can be taught or trained on. But the things that you can't necessarily teach are the things that you have. Maybe it's your demeanor, maybe it's your personality, maybe it's your work with ability, maybe it's your trustworthiness, maybe it's your morality or your uncompromising ethics or whatever. The wheel of life. Cool. Bottom of the deck is the necromancer. Hey, Ollie, how you doing? How is your son? Have you heard back? I hope his eye is okay. There's Pisces, and here's Jupiter. Jupiter is in Taurus. I don't know. I think this new moon Pisces will be sextiling Jupiter in Taurus. It may be loose. I don't know how loose that sextile is. The Sphinx, destiny turning. With the gateway of resurrection. I almost wonder, yay, boo for the chemical burn, but yay for the doctor. Hopefully the doctor's right. And that he'll be all right. I feel like this energy came out at the end of a video recently because I made a whole big deal about it. Destiny is turning and the gateway of resurrection is opening. So all of the recognition, like, this could be you being recognized at a place, or recognized, like, you made an impression. That's another thing. I watched a lot of anime today. Maybe you made a particular impression on someone that's lasted for some time. And now that person knows someone who is looking, or that person is looking, and they're like going through their Rolodex, going through their mental data bank, thinking of like who would be perfect for this role. Maybe this is like me years ago when my journey buddy was like, "Hey, Patrick, I'm looking for someone who can do this. And I have a feeling like you know the person." And I was like, "I don't know anybody who does this." And she was like, "Really? Because I feel like you know." And I was like, "No." Then I was like, "Wait, I know this one person, and I know this other person, and I know another person who's amazing, and oh my gosh, I love them. They're one of my favorite people. I literally worked with this person. I didn't even work directly with them. I met them one summer. They made such an impression on me. I love them. Know nothing about them. Love their energy." And that's the person that my journey buddy was looking for. I didn't even remember that I had known that person. It took prodding. It took her confidence and her intuition, even though I had no clue. I was like, "Yeah, no, I don't know anybody. I'm sorry." And she's like, "Are you sure?" Impressions. I was like, "How did I get here?" Like, it could be something like that because of the gateway of resurrection and this destiny turning. Maybe you've already acquired the experience since you made that impression. Maybe you've been out there living life and doing this and doing that, and maybe you felt a little lost, maybe at some points. Destiny turning. Do I have anything about fate? I don't have the Weaver Tarot anymore. I gave that one away. Because this is destiny turning, but I wonder what fate is doing. Maybe it doesn't matter. The wish granted. Jupiter and Pisces, more Pisces energy. Jupiter, Pisces, Jupiter and Pisces. Cool. Oh, I'm gonna read this I Ching. I think this is. I don't remember what these are. Give me a second. No problem. Uno mentor, por favor. This iced coffee's got me yawning. I'm feeling yawning. Love it. I'm trying to find this I Ching. Trying to find this I Ching. I didn't watch that last video back to see what this screen sharing looked like. I forgot. I guess I could do it real quick. No, that's fine. It's no wind. It's double wind. This is I Ching number 57, gentle force. Okay. Let's grab the wheel. Oh, that's fine. I'll just scroll. I don't want to go too crazy. Give me a moment to scroll and to find this. I feel like this is also an energy that's been like kind of present before. But with that, on that Nine of Cups, there were three goddesses or three heads on that goddess. So this is like multiple people who you could have potentially made a strong impact on, or who can be seeing you in a way that maybe you don't see yourself. And again, it's important to not self sabotage. Use gentle force. Submit to the direction of the winds. Submit to the turning of the wheel of destiny, I guess. The power you exert must be a gentle force. The wind is powerful because time is its power. The wind uses time to accomplish all endeavors, which is interesting because the sundering of time yesterday, anyway. So you too, like the wind, must use time to accomplish your endeavor. Also, this is destiny turning in the gateway of resurrection. And so there's the impression that you could have left an impression on someone a long time ago, or at some point that makes you ideal in a way. A lasting impression. Be the unseen influence. Also, being the unseen influence, we saw the dark horse. The magus, there's the magus that we saw after the keeper. The magus casts a spell that will produce an unseen influence. Whether the warrior advances or retreats, both decisions will bode well so long as the decision is made with conviction. Feeling like that Knight of Pentacles energy. One must delve below the surface, perhaps into the unconscious mind, to understand the situation at hand. That's giving the whole, like, there's something that could be highlighted and illuminated to you for the purpose of like making you aware of how it affects you or how it affects your decision making. It's almost like don't self-sabotage, because again, the thing about Pisces is Pisces can be a depth of things through, especially through its association with like the unconscious slash subconscious mind. It's those limiters that we build into our own manifestations, and usually we drive in the residential area well within our limitation, or well within the limitation that we put on those manifestations. But when we try to hit the highway, that's when we're like, well, why isn't it going above 45? Like, it should be going at least 200, no problem. I ordered the parts. I know what's going on. Yeah, but you also, like, you built in a limitation. And this, again, it's helping us be aware of that so we can operate beyond it or remove those limiters. Maybe they've already been removed. That came out at the end of the video because I was talking about the anime that I watched, or the few things that I've seen where, because of someone's respect for someone else, they dim themselves. That was and then I talked about the Wonder Woman and how whoever she was like, don't doubt yourself, Diana. And Diana was like, I'm not doubting myself. And she was like, yes, you are. You're more powerful than you know. Like, you're stronger than this. Anyway, I'll read this at the beginning. One must delve below the surface, perhaps into the unconscious mind, to understand the situation at hand. The wind is favorable, small gains to be had. And that small gains energy making me think of the Ten of Pentacles, the dynasty, and how everything is like connected, right? So anyway, there you go. I guess under an hour. Woo, that's a victory. Thank you, Holly, Eve, and my number one thing for stopping by. I hope you all have an amazing whatever whenever you see this. I hope you're acting in alignment to make all that you wish to experience your reality. I mean, the cards say that you have been. I hope that whatever you need along your path, journey in the way you find, and I hope when the time comes, you can somehow find it within you to bet on you. Just like it seems like others are so keen and so excited to do, you know. And with that, I'll catch you next time. Bye. See ya.